All right, welcome back to another digital audio workstation tutorial. We're going to just talk about the harmonic spectrum today, and hopefully you've watched that Andrew Huang video already, so you have a little bit of an idea of what's going on with this. Well, we're going to put it into application. So first of all, I just put in a beating sine wave. And as you can see, it has one really dominant peak, and everything else is accidental, really. It should be one exact note. That's really uncommon. If we put in anything else, like if I were to change this to a piano, let's say, let's do that real quick, it would still have more. Where's the one I'm looking for? There we go, grand piano. Look how much more harmonic content that has. Look at all these spikes. It's actually an undertone as well. When we come back to operator, it's just one spike. That's because it's a sine wave. And remember, if we change that wave shape, let's try triangle. This has odd order harmonics that decrease logarithmically. Okay, and we see that spectrum very similar to what we see over here. Let's try square wave, odd order harmonics that decrease linearly. Should say it doesn't look like they decrease linearly, it just levels off sooner, so we have more upper harmonic content. So really, this big tall one down here is the fundamental note, and when we go to a sine wave, it's only got that. And we could make our own triangle wave by drawing these in custom. Oops. See, it's a pain in the butt though. Oh, don't do that. Just select it like this. But let's go back to sine wave here, and I thought it would be nice to look at different kinds of distortion and how they affect a sine wave. All right, so I'm going to turn on the pedal. And I'll actually turn this down too. So as you can see, when we did overdrive, here's no overdrive. We lose the spike right about here, which should be the octave. Especially if I crank this up. Let's leave it. And if we hover over this and look over on the left side over here, it says in the info field, overdrive is warm and smooth. Distortion is tight and aggressive. Fuzz is heavy and broken. Well, let's see what they actually do to the spectrum. Okay, so that's adding a spike at about an octave. That looks more like a triangle wave. It's definitely decreasing logarithmically, but there's a lot more upper harmonic content. And see how cluttered it gets? Right about here, that makes me think of a saw wave. There's a low frequency boost as well. Okay, so pedals got some cool stuff. Let's look at the other ones though. Audio effects, I got that right here. Let's just try this overdrive. Sounds pretty nice. Turning up the tone, watch what happens. Now I think the sound is more profound than the visualization of it with this one. All right, let's try the Saturator. That's my favorite. Adding a spike, just kind of like that overdrive did. These are different settings for it. This one's not as profound. You got a hard curve. But that's why I like it. I don't always need overt distortion. How about vinyl distortion, huh? Oh, this one, I've used this before. That one is more, it just puts background noise. How about, ooh, erosion? See what that does. So it does something similar to bit crushing. Oh, and you can basically tell it where you want it to happen. Now we're getting to things beyond just distortion. Dynamic tube, let's try that. Very subtle. There we start to hear it. So this adds into questions of, and be better asked of Andres, but what makes tube amplifiers so desirable? It's because they have harmonic distortion of even ordered or odd ordered harmonics, whereas digital distortion just cuts on right away. This is emulating the driving of a dynamic tube, of a tube amplifier, where it doesn't immediately snap into distortion. It has a gradual approach to distortion. So see how much I had to crank it up to get it going. We slowly add in upper harmonics. So if you ever play like an old Fender Deluxe or something with some real tubes on it, ooh, yeah, it sounds good. Yes. We could do cabinet. This is all the nuance. This is what you need to nerd out over. It's a very small change. If anything, this one just does some filtering. Let's try. You see how it drops off right there? That's not necessarily a bad thing either. So consider this, especially if we're going through, consider the harmonic spectrum of things when you play with them. If you're going through and playing with the piano, let's say. Let's put a spectrum on that, huh? That's a sample, so I guess that's different than a digitally created one, but notice how the overtones in Harmonic Series change over time. All these harmonic partials are going up and down on their own. I think that's what's so interesting about the tone of a piano, is it shimmers a little bit. The upper harmonics, because it's not just the note being played, it's the notes above it as well. They're slightly moving, so it does a ow. It's kind of like you were holding a note and then changing your mouth shape slightly. Kind of like like if you're meditating, if that helps you. Yeah, so consider that when you're making decisions, especially if we go back to operator, and maybe we don't need all of the distortion plugins. Maybe we just want to draw it in ourselves, and we want to create, I want some even order harmonics that decrease, but then when it gets to a certain point, I want all the harmonics. I could probably just go like this. Throw one in way up here. And so if you remember from that Andrew Wong video, this is skipping the first octave, and then it does a fifth, and then a third, and then another octave, and then I forget where it goes after that. But I think sometimes if you did it like a saw wave, it's just a little dense. like we don't need this other octave here. And then we end up just creating a triangle wave anyways, without even knowing it. So experiment with this. Draw in some weird stuff. What if we did it like, it's not even going to be the same note. So you can really play around with it. This is not the wave shape, though. Keep that in mind. There are some that let you draw wave shapes. This is the harmonic spectrum. These are the low notes here. These are the high frequencies. And what I would say is start off with one that already exists, like a triangle or a square. This refers to the bit depth and how many, not the bit depth, the how deep into the harmonic series it goes. So this would go all the way up 64. So experiment with that. Try it out. See what you like and start to notice the difference. That I think it's really intangible at first for people when I describe these things or when anyone describes this to them. And you just have to start getting used to hearing it, and you'll start to pick up on it really quickly. So just remember that it's very, very, very rare that something is just one pitch exactly. It's much more common that it has a harmonic series above it, and in harmonic series, which noise would be the best example of that. It doesn't even they don't even draw it up. It's everything. So consider that. All right. I will see you next time.